I spent 2.5 years, two in my head with my business. And I thought that by being busy, I was being productive, and actually they're very, very different things. I didn't have any clarity in my business. I had just been trying to get money and have this ego thing of I want to have a business. And so it was in that moment I just said, Pia, stop all this busyness. And what I had to do was I'm really in shock at how much my life has changed in a year. When I was here this time last year, I was really lost. I had a business that had been in business for 2.5 years, but it wasn't working. And I want to just go back a little bit further to the last time I was pregnant, where I had set up my business to help Irish food producers develop their export markets over in Europe. And Ireland is a country that has a population of 5.5 million people, but we produce enough food to feed 25 million people. So we are a net exporter. So anyone like me who, I speak fluent German, who can help food manufacturers develop an export market has a job. There are so many manufacturers who want to work with them. Right? Wrong. So March 2020, pandemic happened. I sell into the restaurant industry, and every restaurant across Europe with the pandemic just shut their doors. So it was like overnight the music just stopped. People stopped trading, and everything I knew about my industry, that I had, all this knowledge I'd gained over the last 12 years it was irrelevant. It had completely changed. And this is something that I really want to hammer home to all of you, is that there are going to be these massive external shifts that are going to happen in society, and they're happening quicker. Things like recessions, things like pandemics, things like mass inflation that are going to rock your industry. They're going to knock you sideways. They're going to knock your clients sideways. And the reason why we're all here is to keep on top of our learning so that we can be quicker, we can be more agile, and we can adapt to these massive shifts. Because the shifts are not going to go away. Now, I didn't realize that when I set up my business, and I let this shift make me weaker. And so what happened was I got into this pattern of, if I'm busy, I'm getting somewhere. But it was the kind of busyness where I was just on a merry-go-round, going round and around and around. And Elisa said it earlier, I was just chasing money. So I set up a burger box business, I set up a sauce business, and they all went nowhere. But I was busy. But I was also pregnant, so I was like, I had this due date that was looming over me, and I kept saying to myself, I have to make this into something before this baby arrives. I can't go on maternity leave with not knowing, not having a business. So eventually I started talking to another, he was a dessert manufacturer, and he, through the pandemic, had lost 90% of his revenue because he supplied desserts to the restaurant industry. And Elisa said it earlier, I just thought, okay, Pia, forget the money. How can I help this man? And so I said I'd work with him for free. And we tried to develop a product that would work in this new world. So he had a bakery and he had an ice cream plant, and he supplied all the dairy from his own farm. So a beautiful company. And so we developed a ice cream cookie sandwich using, proper chocolate chip cookies made with real Irish butter, and we used the dairy from his farm. And we created the product, and I developed all the messaging around it and the copy and how we would talk to the customer. And we really brought home, grass-fed, Irish beef or Irish dairy. And we really connected emotionally with the customer. And I took this product to someone that a massive pizza chain over in Germany, and I introduced it to them. And immediately they said, yes, we want that. And I was so delighted. I was like, I have a framework, I have a formula, it's working. Oh my God, I might have a business. But it was the day before my due date. So Barry said, Pia, this is the manufacturer, he said, Pia, you've done all you can. He said, we have the customer, this is great. And I said, I know we said you'd work for free, but I put 2,500 in your bank account. Go have your baby. Do you think I stopped there? No, they had to lock me out of the email. They had to lock me out of everything because I was still in this, if I'm busy, I'm going to have a business. I have a framework. The day of my due date, I was convinced I'd go over by 2 weeks because I was like, first baby, I'll go over by 2 weeks. So I rang the head of this alliance. It's an alliance of consultants in Ireland. And I was like, I have my framework, I'm going to call him. And I rang him and I said, John, can I come in and pitch to you? And he said, yeah. And I said, I just need to have a baby. But, and he said, come in to me in 2 weeks' time and pitch to me. And I was like, grand, okay, perfect. I'm not going to have this baby for 2 weeks. Unlike his mother, my first baby is very punctual. I went into labor on my due date. So, God, you'd think I'd learn. So it was 2 weeks later, it was the day of the pitch. I had everything organized. I was like, right, we're going to get Enzo up. I'm going to get him up early so that I can feed him, so that I fed him exactly at the 3-hour mark so that I can do the pitch, and then I can just get back to being a mom. It's insane when I think about it. Like, what was my plan? And of course, babies don't follow a schedule. So Enzo didn't wake up when I wanted him to. He didn't eat when I wanted him to. So he was kind of at around the 2.5-hour mark when I went into the pitch. Now, it was done over Zoom because we were still in the middle of the pandemic. And it was in the middle of the pitch, so I was doing my spiel, the thing that I'd done again and again and again. I was telling him about my framework. And then my husband had Enzo, and I heard, and he took him away so that I couldn't hear him. But eventually I heard my baby cry, right? Because he was hungry. My baby was hungry, and I was in a pitch. And it's funny, when you have a baby and they cut the umbilical cord, you're still very much connected. And so when your baby cries because they're hungry, your boobs leak. So I was in a pitch with leaking boobs. And it was in that moment, and there was a big panel of these men on the Zoom in front of me, and it was like my mind just went blank. And I rose out of my body, and I looked down and I said, what is your plan? If this all goes exactly as you want it to, the only thing it's going to take you away from is your baby. You're going to start working with this alliance, and then you're not going to be around your baby. And so it was in that moment I just said, Pia, stop. Stop all this busyness. And what I had to do was I had to separate the stories I was telling myself in my head, I have no money, I don't have a business, I don't have anything, from what was actual reality. I had €2,500 in my bank account. I had a framework. I had a formula that had worked. So I took 5 months off. And what I did for the next few weeks was I fed Enzo and we slept. And I fed Enzo and we slept. And I fed Enzo and we slept. And my husband changed a lot of nappies.
Pia, I know that, the elegance and the beauty with which you explained that moment was a tough moment for you.
Very.
And as you go into this next stage and this next transition of your life, there's a promise that you've made to yourself.
Yes.
There's a lesson that you learned from that you want to ensure that you said, I never want to repeat again.
Yeah.
Can you share that little lesson here with the rest of this group here, and what that lesson really means to you?
Yeah, I mean, what I really want to, there's a couple of things I really want to share with people, and there's 3 things I want you guys to take away today, which is that please do not overthink your niche. I spent 2.5 years too in my head with my business. And I thought that by being busy, I was being productive, and actually they're very, very different things. And what I found, or what I have found, is that like my niche has changed like 4 times since I've gotten started. And it was when I started Accelerator that we did all these clarity exercises, and this is when I'd gone back to work, and Ajit took us through clarity exercises and this thing called the Achievers Method. And it was from that exercise that I realized I didn't have any clarity in my business. I had just been trying to get money and have this ego thing of I want to have a business. So I find when I get these clarity documents, or I get these pages that you have to fill out, I can't sit at a desk and do them, because all you get at the end of that process is a blank piece of paper. So what I have to do, and this is my formula, we get the clarity document, we get the questions, and I have to go outside, I have to move, I have to get into nature. I live by the beach, I walk down by the beach. And then I have to go and I have to apply it to the market. I just have to get out there and just talk to somebody. So my formula with all my clients, because I'm a new product development consultant, and they all say, Pia, what's the product? What product should we make? And I'm like, you're asking the wrong question. It's what's the problem? What's the problem that you want to solve? What's a job that people are trying to do that you know you could help them do better? And within that problem, you can't get this question wrong. Pick someone within that problem that is trying to do a job and you know you can help them. And pick the person that excites you. When I started out, I was helping restaurant chains develop recipes for their menus. I'm now working with food manufacturers, and specifically family-run food manufacturers who are making, they want to do better, but they don't know how. That niche evolved over so much time. But so where I got to in my business was when I went back, I called the head of this alliance. I was ready. I took that case study with the dessert manufacturer. I turned it into this shit-hot case study. And I said, John, I'm ready to come in. And he said, okay, come in and present to my leadership team. So I did this big presentation. I pitched myself as this shit-hot new product development consultant. I was not that. I had just, I'd done one thing right once. But it didn't look like that. It looked like I knew exactly what I was doing. And he said, Pia, you're in. You're going to be paid the highest rate of our consultants in the highest band. And so they are my sales engine now. John was the person who opened it all up for me. And he feeds me clients. I have more clients than I could ever deal with. I've now taken on a freelancer. She's working in my business. I have a bookkeeper. I have a virtual assistant. So it's all completely changed. And for me, it's not about the money, but what the money gave me was space to breathe. So now I'm bringing in 10,000 every month, which is allowing me to pay for freelancers, and it's allowing me to pay for virtual assistants. So I'm going into this, I'm due at the end of October, and I am handing over power to these people who I can now afford to run my business when I'm not there. And I'm going to check in, and I am going to finish up before my due date, and I am going to enjoy this time off.